At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about what you've done with those accomplishments. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. It's about what you've given back. Denzel Washington. Welcome to Inspire Vision. Our sole purpose is to elevate the lives of others and to inspire you to do the same.
Sasha, welcome to the show.
Hi, Doc. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, it's great. So where are you located?
I do live in Bali for the past 10 years.
Oh, wonderful. So at least our time is fairly similar, isn't it?
It is. You're in Thailand, right?
Right. So you're not too far away. What, about 5 hours by plane?
Yeah. Well, depends. Depends
Yeah.
on which part of Thailand.
Yes, I suppose so. So anyway, what I'd love for you to do is you have an interesting journey that you took and which brought you to this point of doing what you're doing. Would you share that journey with the audience, please, and kind of explain who you are now?
Absolutely. So, I will try to keep it short. So basically, my first part of my life after studying, I became a photographer, and it went so well, it was growing, and I was traveling a lot, and I was shooting abroad, and everything was super cool. The only problem was that I wasn't happy, and I was an overachiever. So I was kind of on this run and trying to get something, and at some point I found myself actually deeply depressed because I was waking up in the morning. I was like, okay, what's the meaning? I'm gonna go and take pictures of another girl, trying to pose nice, even though there were a lot of beauty in that work. A kind of photography was helping people feeling better about themselves, seeing themselves from a different perspective. But for me, I was like, okay, it helps for 1 month maybe. But then they get back to their usual conditions. So there needs to be something else. And for me, doing what I'm doing, I don't see a deeper meaning in it. I kind of felt like I want to be helpful for this world. I want to do something because I was like, okay, this is going well. I can earn a lot of money. I can buy things with money. And what then? So you can feel this moment when I felt stuck that okay, I can have it all, but at the same time, it doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't make me happy because no purchases make me happy. Traveling after a while doesn't make you happy because everything becomes pretty much same, new people stuff, but it's trying to escape, but you cannot escape yourself. So yeah, and then as well, what I was doing was okay, it's nice, but I was seeing that there needs to be something deeper. And I decided that I need to change. And later I will realize that actually my personal period was changing at that moment. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing photography anymore. I'm deleting my portfolio so that I would, that kind of person who, burns all the bridges. So I'm deleting my portfolio so that I wouldn't have a chance to get back. I regretted it a lot after.
I'll bet.
So those who are listening and who wants to make a drastic change in their lives, think twice. I was young, I was bold, I was I felt very lucky, I was that kind of person. And the period was suggesting that actually whatever I think, and if I really focus on it, it was happening. So I felt that I kind of hacked this world, I can do it. So I was yeah, I had some savings. I was I'm going to be looking for this happiness, and something will turn out. Year after, I found myself nearly broke. I didn't find any new idea of what I'm going to do. Getting back to photography wasn't that easy because, as I said, I deleted all the portfolio. My clients, they already found a replacement for me, and everything wasn't. I was earning a little bit, but uncomparable. And there was no happiness. I became even more unhappy than previously. So I was okay, it's a problem. I am in a big problematic situation, I need to look for the answers. So that was the moment when I actually desperately started looking for answers. And for that, I was like, okay, what are the options? So along the way, it was astrology, numerology, tarot, Reiki master teacher, and that's who I became after a while. Yeah, yoga, I'm a certified yoga teacher. So a lot of different things, and like those which I kind of certified and completed, but like a lot of different tries, attempts, and I was like, okay, what's going on in my life? And after a while, I realized that astrology kind of gave me this understanding that, okay, period changed. And it changed the way that actually different spheres of my life, they got activated. So there is no path back, but there is a path forward, but I really need to build it from scratch. And it is about sharing knowledges, and it is about, well, for that you need to learn first. So like, yeah, rebuilding it from the beginning, it wasn't easy, and it required a lot of effort of like studying, like, what is this world, who we are, why we are unhappy, where unhappiness come from. Spoiler, it's like tightly connected to our ego. So I had to discover my ego. I was like, oh, okay. That was a problem. That was a big problem. So like, yeah, the moment of transformation, of like really acknowledging who am I and what I need to change, that was painful. Now, I think I spent like 3 months like hating myself deeply for who I was. So like this moment of acceptance, it didn't come smoothly. And like, yeah, and I was realizing, okay, so I wasn't a nice person. I wasn't treating people well. Clients, yeah, but people around, those who are the most important people in our lives, those no. I had issues with my parents, with my father specifically. And for me, I was blaming him for a lot of problems in my life. And when I started studying astrology and I looked into his chart, I was like, okay, apple didn't fall far from the tree. So I saw that actually we have a lot in common, and something what I didn't like in him was actually really well presented in my own personality. I just wasn't really noticing that. You know, when you look at someone, you're like, oh, you see everything. But when it's about you, you're like,
Yeah, it's a little tough.
nothing like that. So when I saw it, when I like faced the facts, I was like, okay, yeah, that's true, that's true. I can see a lot of the same patterns in my own personality. So yeah, it helped me along the way accept myself, accept my father, understand that everything is fine. I'm fine, he's fine. Nobody is the reason of my suffering. It's just the path. So like, yeah, instead of blaming someone or like pointing fingers, I just need to look at the things that I can improve, that I can change in my life so that I can become a better person. And through all these transformations and along with like learning deeper things, like I would say behind astrology and like everything what I do right now, behind like my lifestyle, stands yogic philosophy. So it's a huge thing, and I think it's similar to any kind of like religious knowledges for people who don't understand what is yoga philosophy. Well, basically all the things they are bringing pretty much same meaning, same value to our life. And when you like start digging, you start looking at life from a different perspective. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know, it's really interesting because astrology, when you think of astrology, if there's any theological background there, you go back into the Old Testament and you know, it just really strikes it badly because it was so tied to witchcraft and all of those type of things. But nowadays, I did a little research on this because I wanted to, you know, really have my mindset on this. And today, astrology really is just another tool and potentially an incredible tool to help you, as you said, really understand yourself, understand who you are and what those traits are and why they're there. And quite frankly, you know, I'll tell you a funny story. When I purchased my dental practice in Palm Springs, California, in the U.S., When I first went in, and it had been a practice, so the receptionist was still there. And, sweet lady, Italian, all this type of stuff. And the second day there, she says, all right, when's your birthday? When were you born? And I'm going, why? She says, because I want to do a chart on you, an astrology chart. And I'm going, okay. So I told her, gave her all the information. And the next day I went in and she's looking at me and she goes, oh my goodness. And I'm going, why? What do you mean? She says, and she started going on and on about how everything is in Aries and blah, 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 blah. And I just laughed about it. But I found later on, years later, I came across a couple of different types of programs that used a combination of astrology and other things to help understand personality and who you are and why you would tend to act and behave in a certain way. And that ultimately led me to become a certified behavioral analyst, to where I really look at people from a personality standpoint and figure out why they're doing what they're doing and what those values and other things that kind of motivate. So when I had a chance to get you on the show, I thought, this could really be interesting, because you use astrology to really help people discover themselves, find out who they are. And yet, as I look at the chart that you have there, which you sent me, it doesn't look anything like any astrology chart that I've seen. So would you please describe to me what on earth that is compared to everything else? Because I know people watching this that have done astrology charts are going to go, what is that?
Yeah, this is an astrology chart. That's a system. That's a very simple system, very understandable system. Not for you at the moment, but in general. So yeah, to explain this, I need to, first of all, give an explanation that there are actually two different systems. So there is a Western astrology, the one which people are used to, the one which says in magazines like, weekly horoscope, blah, blah, blah. And the one which defines your sun sign based on like certain dates. Yeah, those dates are fixed, and it would be amazing. It would be working, and it was working 2,000 years ago. So those dates were accurate 2,000 years ago. And since then, there was a shift. So Western astrology is based on, it's called tropical zodiac system. And it's tied to those dates. And those dates, they are tied to equinoxes and solstices. So there are these 4 points. And from there, like Aries starts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So and those dates for the sun transit through zodiac signs, they were accurate 2,000 years ago. And there is the thing, it's called precession. I'm not so good in explaining what is the precession, but if someone is super curious and want to dig, maybe you are. So YouTube kind of gives an explanation. There are videos with a nice video presentation. What is this precession? But basically is that our Earth, it has this wobbling movement. And because of it, it's slow, but because of it, it creates this shift. So at the moment, the shift when sun transits through zodiac signs, it's like 2/3 or 3/4 of a sign. And here comes Vedic astrology. So Vedic astrology, it's based on the precise placements of planets at the moment the person was born. When I'm talking precise, I mean astronomically. So when you will look through the planetarium, for example, there are very good applications nowadays, apps for planetariums and stuff. If you look astronomically where your planets were, you will see that the one which is shown in Vedic astrology, that's going to be accurate. And Vedic astrology is based on sidereal zodiac system. I kind of like that, real is kind of there. But for me, the preciseness was very important. I was like, okay, so this one, it kind of works, but they're missing this coefficient.
Well, and what I find interesting, and I don't know that people understand this, but, I think about the movement of the moon, the stars, the sun, and so forth. And you think about how the moon literally controls water and the oceans. And yet we're made up of what, 75, 85% water? I don't know what that is. But to understand that we're also affected by all of those type of things. And it's fascinating to me that, as you get into that, you can begin to understand your traits, your tendencies. And I think that's so important to be able to understand who you are, why you tend to go in a certain direction, because with that, then you're able to be in control and actually deal with those type of things, and things that you don't like about yourself, you're actually able to change, and things that you do like, you can promote that a little bit more. So let's get into this. And for the audience, what we decided to do, and I'm being a little bit transparent here, I said, okay, Sasha, let's do a chart. So this is my chart. And
Yeah, and why I had this intro, I had to have it a little bit because right now I'm planning to blow your mind a little bit.
okay. All right. If it gets too bad, I'm going to cut you off.
Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so for your whole life, you probably thought that you are an Aries.
Yes, I thought I was an Aries. In fact, the lady that I was telling you about told me that I was an Aries in so many signs and other rising signs that it was going to be a nightmare for me.
And this is only partially true. So when I was saying about this shift, so your sun is in Aries, that's true. It's actually in the very beginning of Aries.
Really? Okay.
So there you kind of like, there was no surprise, when you sent me your details, even before creating a chart, I know that signs, they shift on the 15th. So I was like, oh, okay, he's going to be Sun Aries, so it's not going to blow his mind. But then I created your chart, and you can see here 4 planets in Pisces.
Okay, so
And
those four planets, you got a VE, ME, MA, and MO.
Yeah, so Venus, Mercury, Moon, and Mars, they all are in Pisces.
Really? Okay.
Yes, so here comes the mind-blowing part. So rising Gemini, Moon Pisces, and Sun Aries, because each person is a combination of different things, It's like it's never just one sign. And like among those, it's kind of like very obvious, right? That Pisces is dominating there.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And like, well, actually, when I created the chart, I was like, okay, who are you, Dr. Doug? This is definitely this is an incredible chart. Those who are watching, who have a little bit of knowledge about astrology or something, this is actually a fascinating chart, and it's really rare when you will see something like this.
Really? Why is that?
Well, first of all, so you see, we have 9 planets, and 4 of them are concentrated in one house.
Wow.
It kind of makes sense, yeah. So that something is supposed to be very strong. What is it? It's the house of career. So you are supposed to be a very successful person, very well known and very like recognized in your life. Yeah. Beside that, like incredibly talented, strongly intuitive. You know what is also interesting?
Okay, I'm waiting.
You have something in common, like partially, but that's quite a big thing, in common with a very famous person. He is a scientist. Okay, how to get a clue? Okay, I'm gonna do this. Does it make does it bring any clues?
All right, go ahead and tell the audience.
Did you guess who is that?
Einstein?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So actually, Einstein is also rising Gemini, and he also has a lot of planets in the 10th house. They're a little bit different, but what's similar is that he also has Venus there and Mercury there. And
Wow.
yeah, so well, first of all, it makes the person smart.
Okay.
Yeah. It gives this very unusual way of thinking, smart, not in a classic way. Because like Einstein, he was kind of like channeling his ideas. So his knowledges, they were more intuitive rather than, like analytical and logical.
Right.
And here we can see similarity. So that you kind of like channel your ideas. They come to you. Maybe sometimes when you are sleeping, there is a touch of logic there, but still for you, you're supposed to be like a very sensitive person, like that you can sense things and you can like really just get them from the universe. Let's say so.
Yeah, and that's true. I'm extremely curious, and like I said, once my dental practice was sold, I went back to business school, and then since then, I've just gotten so fascinated with personal development, and I just keep researching and researching and researching. So you're right, I am very curious.
Very curious and also very, very intuitive, very sensitive person. You can feel people. You can feel like what's going on. And like, yeah, with such positions, no surprise that you're interested in like psychology and like trying to systemize those things. Like, yeah.
So if I were a client of yours and I was calling you and saying, okay, I need your help, what would you tell me?
First of all, I will ask you what is the question? What is the
Oh
problem?
yeah, okay. I got to make it. Well, I got to figure out that I can't tell you what the problem is. All I can tell you is that my kids think I'm crazy. That I literally have moved to Thailand and want to live here instead of the U.S. And I call it an adventure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, actually, like for now, you have your period of Rahu happening, and your Rahu is in the house of foreign lands, so no surprise then. And
Okay.
then, like the time has come, and like yeah, Rahu, it's a mystical planet, so it always brings this urge for a change, like something new, something needs to be shifted. And like yeah,
Uh,
and you are this kind of brave, so like still Aries is there, yeah, and Sun is you see, Sun is an exaltation, the arrow up means very
okay.
strong Sun. So like a very brave, very ambitious person who like maybe you have never been to Thailand and you just like decided and moved like
All right.
boldly.
So, all right. So we're going to move me away from this thing now, and let's talk about some of your clients. Let's have you share some stories of clients that you worked with, and where they were, why they called you, and the difference that was made by you helping them to really understand through the astrology who they were and the direction that they would be more inclined to go to find that success and happiness in their lives.
Well, actually, I would say it's like 50-50. So 50% people, they come and they just want to know who they are. Yeah, they want to get this clue about like how they can use what are the talents in general. And it's very funny because very often people, they just don't see their talents. And it's like it's there when you start talking about it. It's like, yeah, I was doing it as a kid. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, yeah, something. And like you just highlight those things and you explain how they can use it, and they start blooming. So that's like 50% of clients, literally. They come because they just don't see themselves fully, or sometimes there are such things. Like recently there was a session, and like these signs, they create like predominance of elements. Like for example, in your chart it's predominance of water element. Yeah, and sometimes there are like two elements that have like equal amount in the personality. So recently it was earth and air. And it kind of was like a couple times, like couple sessions and like similar situation, earth and air. And earthy people, they want this stability, they want to accumulate money, they want like bank account growing and stuff. And airy energy, it wants, like some activities, some risking things, like some creativity and stuff. And when they cannot make this friendship together, so then people don't allow themselves to be creative. So they kind of have it in there, but this desire for stability doesn't allow them create. And at the same time, when they start creating, like they feel that they're losing it, and they're kind of literally blocking themselves.
Well, and it's interesting, as I said, as I do the behavioral analyst type of work, I find that so often, and I think this is what you're explaining, so often the strengths that we have, if taken too far or if allowed to take too far, become a weakness. And if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is here's one that really goes, you can go great, but here's the creative side. And if this becomes too strong, you lose this. If you become too strong here, you lose that. So are you able to help people to balance that out and help them to understand that, all right, you have both of these traits. Let's help you to balance them out?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we do. We're having this conversation when I show them like, okay, so this is how your earthy side shows up. And this is how you can use it for your benefits. Yeah, because it gives you, because every energy, for example, yeah, we're talking about specific example. Yeah, it jumps on different ideas on like many different projects, and very often it doesn't finish. But like if you use your earthy element there, so you jump, and then with earthy you continue and you finish. So then you kind of like use them both. Yeah, you allow yourself to be creative, but you're wise, so you kind of like open up a little bit for creativity, for new projects, and then you use your earthy side to actually make them happen, to finish them, to receive the benefits, yeah, to complete whatever you do, your projects. So like I show them how they can use them both and make it work and make them both at the strength. And then like we really discuss these criteria, like how it looks like. Yeah, or like when your air goes out of balance, it becomes like you become anxious, you become this restless mind, you cannot calm yourself down, even though a person could be like quite earthy. But then when air goes out of balance, then it's, like you keep rolling. It's like, as a rock going down the hill. It's like it becomes like faster, 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 and it's just like really, really hard to stop it. So like, yeah, and I just explain it systematically. So this is this, this is this. This is how we deal with this. This is how we deal with this. And we go through some situations when, with examples, we really see like, okay, so here you use this, here you use this. So I don't know if it's like, if it's enough specific or not.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So, have you worked with couples that are struggling in their relationships?
Absolutely.
And what's a good story there? What's a good story about how you've helped a couple, and what were the circumstances, and how did they ultimately come out in a much better situation?
It's actually very interesting. So first of all, we can see through the charts if people are capable, compatible or not. Like, yes, I mean, like every relationship can be harmonized, but there are still like better combinations and like more challenging combinations. And again, like when people come, very often they think that the problem is in someone, not in themselves. And usually what happens, first comes woman. A woman is like, okay, I'm thinking to finish this relationship. It doesn't work. He's like, blah, 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 blah. Not working. I'm looking, I was like, okay, you want to see the chart, like how it goes together? And I was like, actually, like I'm analyzing. I never lie. That's the part of astrology job. You need to say the truth as it is. So like, yeah, I'm analyzing. I'm like, okay, look, actually, your partner matches your like perfect combinations. Like it's good for you. So even though like if you will finish this relationship, then in next one, like will come similar example, and you will just waste all this time you've been together. So she's like, okay. After a while, she convinced the partner to come to a consultation. That's very often, yeah. So usually woman drags a man.
Right.
And man is skeptical. It's like, I don't know, like your astrology work or not. Like, let's try. Like this couples therapy, yeah. And the brain is like, yeah, okay. So then we start discussing what's his chart about, and they're like, okay, that all makes sense. And very often it's so beautifully how people they create this balance within the couple, because usually one's supposed to have predominance of masculine energy, one's supposed to have predominance of feminine energy. Can you guess which couples are more often come for such consultations?
I would say if they're a combination of both.
It's usually women with stronger masculine energy and men with stronger feminine energy.
Oh, then the man would be more interested.
No, then like a woman, she kind of like she rules the whole thing, and at the same time, she expects the man to be a leader. So she kind of wants like him to be strong.
Ah,
Okay, look, but this is your unique combination, and like you need to see that, like, okay, so woman, she has this like leading qualities, but man, he has these, like supportive, like nice, how to say, like caring tendencies. And it's also good because like you match. It's like, yeah, I don't think that we need to reinvent ourselves in terms of creating someone who you are not. But
so it's just a
sometimes,
matter, though. It's a matter of understanding. So if the wife, who is the stronger personality, can understand that her husband is more of the right brain, what I'd call right brain, feminine side, and if there's an acceptance to that, then all of a sudden that becomes remarkable.
yes, it takes time. It actually takes time, but I can see like some clients, like usually women, they stay with me for a long time, like sometimes like they check what's going on like for the year and stuff. And like right now it's like I'm about to have a session, like the next one I'm preparing for similar woman. She has a very strong masculine energy. Man, he has this feminine. It's very common because like then women, they kind of have to handle everything and they feel tired after a while. And it doesn't mean that men are not successful. They are. It's just that they are moving through life softer. And like sometimes when like hard decisions need to be made, like men, they are not like strong and sharp enough to do that. So it lays on like women's shoulders. And like, yeah, and they're like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? But like it's still in her hands. Like she rules the whole thing, so she needs to be wise. She needs to be like a leader in this relationship. And the more they understand it, the more they learn how to handle it, and the more they accept the fact that they will be leading. It is still like their role, even though like a lot of women, it's still tendency. Women want to be like behind the husband, like someone
Yeah.
solves the problems. But it's like, yeah, and this acceptance that, okay, this is me, I am the leader. And like, yeah, so where I am planning to move our relationship, like where I'm planning to move like our family, like our life situation and stuff. So like, yeah, from this acceptance, it helps. So they're like digging into this role. Sometimes it's still tiring, but it's also, like it's karma. Like
Yeah.
we
Well,
have to be
are
certain.
you able, with the astrology chart, are you able to actually determine whether they're leaning more towards the feminine or the masculine
Absolutely.
aspect, or is that something comes separate from the chart?
No, that's absolutely easily determined. Like you have predominance of feminine energy.
Really?
Yeah.
Which means what?
It means that you are a sensitive person, like
Okay.
you are a soft person. It doesn't mean that it's like you don't have willpower or something. You are strong but soft.
All right. Because interesting, as we get into the personality profiles, I'm definitely left brain, strong willed, and my kids will tell you all of that. So it's interesting how this comes a little bit different.
And they don't see you as a great father, as a caring father.
Oh, they do. They see me as that, but also there's been so many. Well, in fact, I finally sat down with them one day and said, "All right, kids, here's the deal. When you come to talk to me, you need to say, Dad, I just want you to listen, or I want your opinion." Because so often I would offer my opinion and they really just wanted me to listen. So that has made a big difference in our relationships once they understood that, okay, I will just listen if you want me to listen, and I'll keep my mouth shut and I won't offer my opinion unless you ask for it.
In Ruberg, we can also see that like okay, the idea why you give your opinion is because you care.
Uh-huh.
Because for
Yeah.
you, it's important. This is your way of showing love. This we can see actually from there's this Jupiter and it's retrograde in the chart. And when people it's like in parentheses, it means it's retrograde. So people with retrograde Jupiter in their chart, they have this urge to give advices.
Ah, okay.
It's like for them, this is the way they communicate with the world. And again, like usually they have something valuable to bring, but it's for them, it's like something uncontrollable until it's noticed.
Yes, and I noticed that, so that's why I had to learn to do that. But as you say, if everything's sitting over there in Gemini with all of that, my curiosity, I come up with answers all of the time. They come to me and say, "Here's a situation." It's like bingo. I know what the answer is for that, and I got to be really careful because they got to work it out for themselves.
Yeah, true, but still, like you care because yeah, a predominance of masculine energy, usually like what kind of father that would be like very like authority like father. Someone who just have an idea, have an opinion, and everyone has to do this way. So
Ah, interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna have my kids listen to this podcast. So here's a question. One of the things I find is in relationships, and not necessarily marriages or those type of relationships, but just in general, friendships, relationships type of thing, that I have found that being able to understand the other person and their personality, that it really helps. And of course, from my perspective, I'm able to meet people, and within a few conversations, I can pretty much pick up, are they right brain, are they left brain, where are they at, are they extrovert, introvert type of thing. But with astrology, how is an individual able to understand using astrology to understand the people around them?
yeah, well, first of all, you are absolutely right. So it's definitely not only a tool for yourself, but to understand others. As like I was bringing an example of understanding my father, yeah, and like these kind of things. But I would say with astrology, sometimes it's a little bit complicated because you need to know too many details. And here comes in handy numerology. That's what I love. Because
Numerology. So take a little bit of time and talk about numerology, and how can you use that? I mean, are you asking them their birthdays and then trying to
yeah,
figure that out, or what?
yeah, you need to ask for the birth because like for astrology to create the chart, you need to ask for birthday, then the time of birth and the place of birth. And like a lot of people, they will freak out already, right?
Right. Oh, here in Thailand, everybody, how old are you? How old are you? And it's like, in the US, you just do not ask that question. But here they do all of the time. Drives me crazy.
I think it's kind of like the way of small talk because like here they
Yeah.
also ask like some random questions and you're like, why would you even ask that? But it's just like just to have a conversation. What else ask?
Right. Right.
So yeah, and with numerology, well, definitely to have like a fuller, like a deeper opinion, then you need to know the date of birth, like including year. But even without the year, like if you just know the date and month, that already gives you some clue. Actually, even knowing the date, that already gives you a lot of clues.
Really?
Yeah, because from the date we figure out the archetype. There are 9 archetypes, and each archetype is connected to specific planet. So planets, they bring different vibes, different energies, and we can see those energies in people. So like, yeah, we can classify people into these 9 archetypes.
Okay. So what date were you born? Just the date.
Yeah,
What
it's
day?
13th of December.
13th?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's what archetype is that? And how do you figure that out?
Okay, so let's make it clear for everyone. We take only the day of birth, yeah, and from there we need to receive a number between 1 and 9.
Uh-huh.
So anything what is bigger than 9, we reduce, we sum those two numbers, and from there we get the archetype.
Okay.
So let's see if you got my explanation right. So what archetypes I'm supposed to be?
4.
Yes, you're right. So let's just explain it for people. Yes, so it's 13. 13 is bigger than 9. Yes. So then we sum 1 and 3. 1 and 3 together is 4.
Okay.
4 is bigger than 9? No. So it's 4. Let's do you.
All right. So I'm 1 and 9. So I'm 10. So that means I'm 1.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So what archetype is that?
So I can quickly bring each one. So 1 is connected to the planet Sun.
Okay.
2, so like remember that 2 is connected to the planet Moon. 3 is connected to the planet Jupiter. 4 is connected to this mystical planet Rahu. 5 is connected to Mercury. 6 is Venus. 7 is another mystical Ketu. 8 is Saturn. And 9 is Mars.
All right. Okay.
So
Fascinating.
you want to talk about 1 or 4?
4. I want to hear about you.
Okay, let's talk about me. So for me, actually, that was like when I was studying numerology, that was a big revelation because like astrology, it's a complicated system. Like you
Yeah.
really need to study and dig, and like it shows like a lot of details. But numerology, it's a little bit easier. It doesn't give the same level of depth, but it still shows a lot of personality. And I told you, mystical planet. So such people, they are not like others. They are a little bit different. They are a little bit strange. So for me, when I first started studying numerology, and it was like literally saying that, I was like, okay, I am okay. That's how I'm supposed to be. Because for my whole life, I was feeling that something is wrong with me, like people don't get me. So it's like I have like some strange view on life. I have like some strange ideas, like my creative ideas, they are not always, like well received by others. Like people just don't understand it. So like, yeah. And like, can I give like a little like deeper explanation how
Sure.
Rahu and Ketu,
Sure. Sure. Go
because like
ahead.
yeah, many people they don't know what it is, and those things Rahu and Ketu, like mystical planets, we call all celestial bodies planets. Sun is also the planet, even though it's a star, but just as a terminology. So Rahu and Ketu, they don't have physical bodies; they are just dots in the sky. The dots, the intersection of sun and moon eclipse, ecliptics.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So like the northern one is Rahu, the southern one is Ketu, so just dots. But as I said, they're mystical. And in Vedic astrology, all the energies, they are explained through stories. So the story was that like devas, like gods, they were fighting with asuras, with demons, let's say so. Yeah. So, and they were getting tired and they came to a wizard and they came to wizard and they were like, okay, we need something, some help. They was like, okay, you can do an amrita. Create an amrita. It's an elixir of immortality, but you need to work together with asuras. So they do the thing. They create this amrita, and they got Vishnu. It's like Vedic astrology, Indian gods and stuff. So like I've got Vishnu is distracting asuras, demons, while gods they are drinking this amrita. And one demon he saw that like okay something is wrong, and he turned looking like Deva, and he got into this line. So finally he gets this jar of Amrita and start drinking, but Vishnu is the god who is responsible for maintenance. So he kind of sees everything and he sees it and he throws the disc and he cuts the head of this demon. But the drop of Amrita, this elixir of immortality, it already went through the throat. So at this moment, the head and the body, they were separated, but they stayed alive. So the head is Rahu and the body is Ketu. And it kind of gives us clues. Like, for example, what the head, like in human body, what does it have?
I don't know.
No, look, wait, look at it. Look at what we have on the head.
Oh, the face. Yeah, obviously you got that.
And what do we have on the face?
Eyes, nose, mouth,
What else?
eyelids, ears,
Yeah, so we
teeth.
have all 5 senses. Like the head, it actually has all 5 senses.
Right.
The body has only touch, the skin. But the head, it has like everything. All the 5 senses. And senses, they they ignite our desires. Because we smell something, oh, I I want this pie. Yeah. Or I want fresh coffee. Yeah. You see something, oh, this is beautiful. I want it. You taste
Yeah.
something, oh, I want to eat it. You hear something, oh, that's nice. I want. So like all our senses, they stimulate our desires. We can say that originally people who have archetype 4, they are very driven by their desires. And the thing is
Okay.
that the head, it doesn't have the belly. So whatever was consumed, it kind of like drops nowhere. So there is no signal from the belly coming back to the head telling that it's enough. And usually people 4, they, like they keep running. They keep running, they more, and they cannot feel satisfied. So for them, it's like the karmic task to understand that, like, okay, it's not the
Okay.
amount.
Listen, we could go on forever and ever and ever, and we're actually getting out of time, which fascinates me. This has just gone by, boom, like that. So, as we close, what would be a message that you would like to share with the audience? Something that would make a difference for them?
Well, I would say it's very important to learn who you are because it will allow you to feel this strength and feel self-reliable and unstoppable despite all the circumstances around you. Like learn who people around are because that will help you create meaningful connections and understand why they are different. But the fact that they're different, it doesn't mean that you cannot get along nicely. And like, yeah. And from there, from this understanding and from this knowledge, you can build a better life, that kind of life you want to build.
Oh, wonderful. Sasha, this has been fascinating. It's been an interesting topic, and I suspect we could get together again and go over some other things in more depth. So I would love that. So thank you so much for being on the show. How do people find you?
Well, you can find me in Instagram. It goes Sasha Shine Bright with dots in between. And I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Shine From Within, where I have a lot of interesting educative videos so you can learn more about yourself and what's going on at the moment in the world.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much. And folks, thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this. This is fascinating. And hopefully we'll get this going again and soon. So anyway, this is Dr. Doug saying have a wonderful week and namaste.
Thank you. Thank you very much.